Look at these primitive creatures, Commander Rax Voss muttered, his four eyes blinking in synchronized disgust at the holographic display. They still think nuclear weapons are impressive. He let out a sound that, in any human language, would translate to a condescending snort. The massive bridge of the Kraxon warship Eternal Victory stretched before him, a marvel of engineering that would make Earth's most advanced technology look like children's toys. The crew, tall, sleek beings with chrome-like skin and multiple pairs of eyes, worked with practiced precision at their stations. Commander Strategic Officer Kex Nera called out, her voice carrying that distinctive metallic resonance all Kraxons shared. We've completed the preliminary scan of their military capabilities. She paused, and Voss could have sworn she was trying not to laugh. Should I even bother presenting the full report? Humor me, Kex. It's been a dull century. Very well, she projected a larger hologram of Earth, highlighting various military installations. Their most advanced weapons are chemically propelled projectiles and crude atomic devices. Their space presence is, well, let's just say they get excited about reaching their own moon. The bridge crew didn't even try to hide their amusement. Someone in the back actually snickered, a sound like grinding gears. And their defenses, Voss asked, more out of protocol than actual concern. They have something called missile defense systems, sir. Our maintenance drones have better targeting capabilities. Kex's upper eyes rolled, while her lower ones remained professionally focused on the data. Their communication networks are primitive electrical impulses running through physical cables. Can you believe they still use satellites? Commander Voss stepped closer to the hologram, studying the blue-green planet with what might have been pity if Kraxon were capable of such an emotion. Another species that never made it past the great filter. Shame. They had such interesting entertainment broadcasts. Sir, one of the junior officers perked up. You've been monitoring their transmissions. Indeed. They have this fascinating concept called science fiction. They imagine meeting advanced civilizations. He gestured dramatically with his upper limbs. Usually ends with them heroically defeating the superior species through. What was that human phrase? Ah yes, the power of love and determination. The bridge erupted in mechanical laughter. Sir Kex interjected, should I schedule a war council meeting? Standard protocol for new conquests, even minor ones. Voss waved a limb dismissively. Might as well. The High Command would be annoyed if we didn't follow proper procedures, even for something this trivial. Schedule it for next cycle. The War Council chamber aboard the Eternal Victory was unnecessarily large for such a simple conquest briefing, but tradition was tradition. The curved walls displayed real-time footage of Earth from various angles, while the central table projected detailed tactical analyses. General Zex Talon, the eldest among them, spoke first. His chrome skin had dulled to a distinguished matte finish with age. Commander Voss, you're telling me this species hasn't even achieved unified planetary governance? Correct, General. They remain divided into nations. Voss pronounced the word like it was some sort of primitive disease. Fascinating. Admiral Lex Mira chimed in, her voice dripping with sarcasm, and they still fight among themselves over resources that any basic matter replicator could produce. Indeed. They actually dig into their planet's crust to extract fossil fuels. Then they burn them. For energy. Voss couldn't keep the amusement from his voice. How? Quaint General Talon muttered. Well, standard conquest protocol should suffice. No need for anything elaborate. Show them our power, accept their surrender, integrate them into the Empire as a worker class. The usual. Kex Nera, present to provide tactical analysis, brought up a detailed invasion plan. I suggest we start with their largest population centers. New York, Tokyo, London, Beijing. Show of force, minimal casualties. They'll understand their position quickly enough. Agreed. Voss nodded. Though I suggest we keep casualties to an absolute minimum. They might be primitive, but they could be useful. Their entertainment broadcasts show remarkable creativity, if nothing else. Very well, General Talon concluded. Standard 3-wave assault pattern. First wave targets military installations and government centers. Second wave secures population centers. Third wave establishes control points and begins integration procedures. Admiral Mira looked almost disappointed. This hardly seems worth recording in the military archives. Conquering a pre-space flight civilization. It's like taking candy from what's that human phrase? Taking candy from a baby. Voss supplied helpfully. And yes, Admiral, it does seem almost beneath us. But orders are orders, and this sector needs to be properly integrated into the Empire. At least make it interesting, Commander General Talon said, his upper eyes twinkling with amusement. Perhaps we should give them a sporting chance. Let them use all their primitive weapons. That might actually make for good entertainment footage. Admiral Mira mused. The Empire's citizens do enjoy watching primitive species try to resist. It's become quite popular in recent cycles. Voss nodded, bringing up the final invasion plan. Very well. We'll give them 24 of their hours to organize a defense once we reveal ourselves. Should make for better viewing numbers, at least. The War Council concluded with unanimous approval of the invasion plan. As the members filed out, Voss couldn't help but feel a slight twinge of something. Not concern, certainly. Perhaps it was just disappointment at how easy this would be. Later, back on the bridge, Voss watched Earth rotate slowly in the holographic display. Kex, begin preparations for first contact. Let's show them something impressive, something that will really demonstrate the futility of resistance. Sir, I've taken the liberty of positioning our fleet to create a perfect eclipse over their planet. When we decloak, we'll block out their sun for exactly 1 minute. Dramatic. I like it. Voss settled into his command chair. Send the message to all ships. Operation Primitive Acquisition begins in 12 hours. As the crew busied themselves with preparation, Voss found himself watching more human entertainment broadcasts. These humans had such active imaginations, always depicting themselves as triumphant against impossible odds. He almost felt bad about how reality would disappoint them. Almost. Sir Kex called out, interrupting his thoughts. All ships report ready. Shall we begin the invasion countdown? Voss straightened in his chair, all 4 eyes focused on the holographic Earth. Indeed. Let's show these humans what a real alien invasion looks like. If only he knew how wrong he was about. Well, everything. Exactly 24 Earth hours after their dramatic solar eclipse reveal, Commander Rax Voss was already bored. The humans' primitive early warning systems had barely registered their presence before the first wave of attacks began. This would be the shortest invasion in Kraxon history, or so he thought. Sir Kex's voice carried an unfamiliar note. Was that confusion? We've lost contact with Attack Group 7. What do you mean, lost contact? Voss's lower eyes narrowed while his upper ones scanned the tactical display. That's impossible. They were only dealing with a human installation called Area 51. Sir, the last transmission mentioned something about pickup trucks and shotguns. You're not making sense, Kex. Our shields can withstand direct hits from their nuclear weapons. Are you suggesting they were defeated by ground transportation and primitive projectile weapons? The tactical display suddenly lit up with multiple red alerts. Attack Groups 3, 5, and 12 had gone dark. The human resistance wasn't just unexpected, it was unprecedented. Get me General Talon. Now. The general's hologram appeared, looking considerably less smug than during their war council. Commander Voss, please tell me you have an explanation for this. Embarrassment. Sir, the humans. They're not following any known combat protocols. They're not targeting our shield generators or weapon systems. They're not even trying to disable our ships. They're just adapting. Adapting? To superior Kraxon technology? That's Riddick. The general's transmission cut off as another red alert flashed. Sir Kex called out, her voice now carrying definite alarm. The humans in something called Texas have figured out how to ride our scout drones. Voss blinked, all 4 eyes rapidly. They what? They're using electromagnetic lassos, crude technology, really, to catch our drones and... Sir, they're using them for something called rodeo. The bridge crew watched in stunned silence as footage showed humans in cowboy hats, whooping and hollering while riding malfunctioning Kraxon drones like mechanical bulls. This is unacceptable. Voss slammed all 4 hands onto his command console. Launch the second wave. Full invasion protocol. The next 12 hours proved even more baffling. Reports flooded in from around the planet. In Australia, the humans had somehow convinced the local wildlife to attack Kraxon ground forces. The sight of elite warriors fleeing from something called a cassowary would haunt the Empire's military academies for generations. Japanese civilians had reprogrammed captured Kraxon battle robots to engage in something called dance battles in the streets of Tokyo. In Russia, locals were stealing Kraxon heating units from disabled ships to make better vodka. Sir Kex's voice had lost all pretense of professional detachment. The humans in something called Florida are there. I can't even describe it. They're doing things with our technology that violate several laws of physics. Voss watched as another battle group went dark. Their last transmission something about roll tide and hold my beer. Commander Admiral Mira's hologram flickered to life, her usually impeccable chrome finish looking distinctly dented. We have a situation in what they call Chicago. The humans have discovered that our bio-armor is allergic to something called deep dish pizza. That's not possible, Voss protested. Our armor is designed to withstand. Sir. New development Kex interrupted. The humans in Silicon Valley have hacked into our entertainment systems. They're forcing our troops to watch something called cat videos. The tactical display was now a chaos of red alerts and bizarre status reports. A group of British humans had organized a proper queue right through the middle of a Kraxon battle formation, completely disrupting their strategic positioning with nothing but tutting sounds and disapproving looks. In India, locals had somehow turned a fleet of Kraxon hovercrafts into part of an elaborate wedding procession, complete with decorative lights and dancing. Brazilian civilians had challenged Kraxon warriors to football matches and were winning. Status report Voss demanded, though he was starting to dread the responses. Sir Kex's voice was barely a whisper. The humans. They're not trying to destroy us. They're memeing us. They're what? They're turning our invasion into something called viral content our soldiers are becoming. Internet famous. A junior officer spoke up from his station. Sir, something called TikTok has multiple videos of our troops being forced to learn human dance moves. They're trending. General Talon's hologram reappeared, looking thoroughly defeated. Commander Voss, I've just received word from High Command. The humans have somehow accessed our central entertainment networks. They're broadcasting their reality shows to our civilian population. Surely that's not a problem, Voss asked hopefully. The entire Kraxon homeworld is now obsessed with something called the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. The bridge fell silent. This was unprecedented in the history of the Empire. They hadn't just failed to conquer Earth, they were being entertained to death. Sir Kex's voice was small. There's more. The humans. They've started adopting our captured soldiers. They're calling them space bros and teaching them something called fist bumps. Voss slumped in his command chair, all four eyes closed in defeat. Send the retreat signal. But sir. Doe, send it. And Kex. Yes, Commander. Delete all footage of what happened in Florida. Some things the Empire isn't ready to know. As the Kraxon fleet began its humiliating withdrawal, Voss couldn't help but notice that several of his soldiers were trying to hide what appeared to be Earth souvenirs. Was that a McDonald's Happy Meal toy in General Talon's pocket? The invasion had failed, but somehow, impossibly, they'd all learned something far more valuable. Never, ever underestimate a species that can turn anything, even an alien invasion, into entertainment. And whatever you do, don't invade Florida. Lieutenant Nextrill never expected to learn about humanity while lying in a hospital bed in what the locals called Minnesota, yet here he was, his chrome skin wrapped in something called a hand-knitted blanket, made by someone's grandmother, while nurses fussed over his 4 eyes with remarkable efficiency. How's our favorite space buddy doing today? Nurse Sarah walked in, carrying what she called a hot dish. The humans had quickly figured out that Kraxon warriors could eat their food and, much to everyone's surprise, actually loved it. I still don't understand, Nex said, accepting the casserole with his lower arms while his upper ones adjusted the blanket. By all military protocols, I should be in a detention facility. Instead, I'm being fed something called tater tots and watching something you call the Great British Bake Off. Sarah just smiled, checking his vitals with practiced ease. Hun, your ship crashed in our cornfield. What were we supposed to do? Leave you out there in the cold? That's not very Minnesota nice, don't you know? Back on the Eternal Victory, Commander Voss was having a similar crisis of understanding as he reviewed Lieutenant Trill's situation and hundreds of similar reports flooding in from around the globe. Kexi called out, all 4 eyes fixed on the reports. Explain this to me. Our soldiers crash, and instead of taking them prisoner, the humans take care of them. Yes, sir. And it gets stranger. Kex pulled up more footage. In Australia, 3 of our warriors were rescued by local surf lifesavers after their ship went down. They're now part of something called the Bondi Rescue television show. In Japan, our troops are being taught ancient tea ceremonies in something called manga drawing. Sir, Private Zex has apparently become a successful anime artist. Voss rubbed his temple with all 4 hands. And the situation in Canada. They've apologized to us for not having proper 4-armed hockey jerseys and are currently custom making them for our stranded soldiers. The commander stood up, pacing the bridge. This defies all known warfare protocols. When you crash in enemy territory, you're supposed to be captured, interrogated, held prisoner. Not invited to family barbecues and taught how to make s'mores. Kex offered helpfully. Exactly. Voss stopped pacing. How are we supposed to file this in our military reports? Defeat by excessive hospitality. Another officer spoke up from his station. "Sir, you might want to see this. It's footage from one of our captured soldiers in something called a Polish grandmother's house." The holographic display showed a Kraxon warrior, supposedly one of their fiercest, sitting at a kitchen table while a small, elderly human woman force-fed him what appeared to be endless plates of pierogi. "Eat, eat," the grandmother insisted. "You're too skinny. How can you conquer planets on an empty stomach?" The warrior, looking both terrified and touched, managed to speak between bites. "But we tried to invade your planet." P.S. The grandmother waved off the protest. "My family has seen worse. Now eat. After this, I teach you proper Polish curse words. Very useful for future invasions, yes." Voss collapsed back into his command chair. This is why we're losing, isn't it? We prepared for everything: resistance, warfare, even total planetary destruction. But this? How do you combat? Kindness. Kex's voice was soft. "Sir, there's more. The humans. They're helping us fix our damaged ships." "They're what?" "Yes, apparently something called NASA is absolutely thrilled to work with our engineers. They keep saying something about advancing human space exploration by centuries and the power of interplanetary cooperation." General Talon's hologram appeared, looking unusually thoughtful. "Commander Voss, I've just received the most peculiar message from Earth's various governments. Let me guess terms of our surrender." "No, sir. They're inviting us to something called the United Nations they want to discuss. Cultural exchange programs." Voss blinked all four eyes slowly. "Cultural exchange. Yes, sir. They're particularly interested in our entertainment networks since we've been watching their television shows. Something about Netflix wanting streaming rights in the Andromeda Galaxy." Just then, Lieutenant Trill's medical update from Minnesota appeared on screen. The warrior was shown teaching local children how to speak Kraxon while they taught him something called duck, gray duck. Sir Kex said quietly, "I think we need to consider something. These humans, they don't just refuse to be conquered. They make friends with their would-be conquerors." Voss watched as more reports flooded in Kraxon warriors learning Bollywood dancing in Mumbai, being taught to surf in Hawaii, participating in carnival in Rio, learning to make pasta from Italian nanas. "It's their superpower, isn't it?" he mused. "We came to show them the futility of resistance, and instead they showed us the power of acceptance." General Talon finished. "Commander, I believe we need to draft a new type of document. Not terms of surrender, but perhaps terms of friendship," Kex suggested. Voss nodded slowly. "Contact High Command. We need to create a new galactic law immediately." "Sir." "It shed, from this day forward, we don't kill humans." Voss straightened in his chair. "Not because we can't, but because they've shown us a better way." As if to punctuate his point, the display showed Lieutenant Trill winning first prize at a Minnesota State Fair baking contest with something called four-armed four-layer hot-dish supreme. The bridge crew watched in amazed silence as humans congratulated their former enemy, hugged him, and then taught him something called the electric slide. Understanding had finally been achieved, though not in any way the Kraxon Empire had expected. They had come to conquer a primitive species and instead found something far more valuable: a lesson in humanity. 5 years after the Great Human Non-Conquest, as it was now called in Kraxon history books, Commander Rax Voss stood before the Imperial High Council, preparing to deliver his final report on Earth. The massive chamber, usually filled with strategic war discussions, was instead buzzing with conversations about the latest Earth memes and something called TikTok dances. Honorable Council Voss began, fighting to keep his face serious as he noticed one of the eldest council members secretly watching cat videos on their datapad. "I stand before you to formalize our relationship with the species known as humans." Chancellor Max Dorn, who had recently legally added Max to his name after binge-watching Mad Max movies, leaned forward. "Proceed, Commander. Though I hope this won't take too long. Earth's Super Bowl is starting soon." Voss cleared all four throats. "As you know, our initial attempt to conquer Earth resulted in unexpected developments. Instead of military defeat, we experienced what humans call a cultural victory." He gestured to the massive display behind him, showing various scenes from the past 5 years. Kraxon warriors participating in Olympic events. They'd created whole new categories for four-armed sports. Human Kraxon fusion restaurants becoming the hottest trend in the galaxy. The first intergalactic K-pop concert, where human and Kraxon bands performed together. A Kraxon soap opera starring human actors. It had broken all viewing records. Our new law, We don't kill humans has evolved far beyond its original intent, Voss continued. It's become less a military doctrine and more a lifestyle choice. Chancellor Dorn nodded sagely while adjusting his new New York t-shirt. Indeed, just last week my granddaughter married a human. The ceremony included something called the Macarena, most entertaining. The statistics speak for themselves, Voss pressed on, pulling up charts. Intergalactic tourism is up 3,000%. Earth's pizza has become the most requested food in the Empire. And our warriors. He paused, still hardly believing it himself. Our warriors are now required to take courses in human vibes and chill factor maintenance. A junior council member raised her hand. Commander, is it true that humans have started what do they call it? A reaction video channel about Kraxon culture? Yes, Voss replied. Their most popular video is humans react to Kraxon dancing. Apparently, our traditional war dances look something like their dad moves at a barbecue. The entire council chamber erupted in laughter, the sound like a symphony of wind chimes and grinding gears. But the most significant development, Voss continued once the laughter died down, is what happened last month at the human institution known as Comic-Con. He played the footage, thousands of humans dressed as Kraxon warriors, while actual Kraxon warriors dressed as human superheroes. The cosplay contest had to be judged by a joint human Kraxon panel to ensure fairness. Therefore, Voss straightened to his full height. I propose we officially change the law from "we don't kill humans" to something more appropriate. Chancellor Dorn leaned forward. And what do you suggest, Commander? We stand humans. The proposal was met with thunderous applause and several council members attempting to do the wave. As the formal declaration was being drafted, Voss received a message from Lieutenant Trill, now Earth's first Kraxon ambassador. Sir, you won't believe what the humans have done now. They've started a dating app for Kraxon-human relationships called 4 Arms and Harmony. Voss couldn't help but smile. The humans had done what no species had managed in the 1,000-year history of the Kraxon Empire. They had conquered their conquerors not with weapons, but with Netflix subscriptions and garlic bread. The resolution was signed that day, but the real victory had been achieved long ago, in countless small moments in Minnesota kitchens, on Australian beaches, in Tokyo karaoke bars, and yes, even in Florida, though those records remain classified. As Voss prepared to return to his new post on Earth, he'd been offered a position as a judge on the Voice Intergalactic Edition. He made one final entry in his commander's log. Note to future alien invasion forces: don't bother trying to conquer humans. They'll end up conquering your heart instead, and somehow convince you to start a YouTube channel about it. P.S. If anyone needs me, I'll be at something called Burning Man. Apparently, it's perfect for beings with chrome skin.